But I look in that.
Good morning and welcome to December. It's the first Monday of the month. We have a commissioners meeting. We have a quorum present. We'll begin the meeting with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody have changes to the payroll?
No.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the payroll as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So on that one, I had a question on that person that got paid out of there. What was, do you know what they were paid for?
I just asked.
That's, you don't know. It was only $40 or something. We've got the claims against the county. Anybody have any modifications, questions there?
No.
I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we have the minutes from the November 17th meeting. Commissioner Hostetter has submitted a change to the minutes. And did Commissioner Stefano see the
I
change?
looked at it.
Okay, you satisfied?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the minutes with the change noted by Commissioner Hostetter.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
None.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. It doesn't look like it was signed. Yeah, I guess we should put.
Do we sign it even though we're gonna make that change?
Okay. I'm gonna have to write it on because I already printed.
That last page is separate, so I figured they would use the last page either way.
You have it marked or?
I will.
Put a dot next to it. Maybe. We did get some mail, something concerning Jasper's wastewater permit. Anybody have any comments on that? Are we good?
We're good.
Good on that. And we had several items that the local veterans organizations are doing some fundraising this time of year. We had one for Wreaths Across America for deceased veterans, so they ran a drive for that. The American Legion Riders are having cookies with Santa, December 13th, 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. NPLB Outdoors is a nonprofit dedicated to welcoming home heroes through a variety of outdoor activities. So there you can get with Steve Lindar or nplbooutdoors.org if you want to donate to them. And there's just several more. The Marine Corps are doing Toys for Tots. And in general, Operation Mind, Body, and Soul is doing a lot of work in DuBois County. So those organizations are looking for community support. Is that highway reports, Mr. Leakin?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We're not a whole lot, but first of all, sanitation site in 2025 holiday hours, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve both fall on Wednesday. So those days were closed anyway, and Christmas Day and New Year's Day will fall on Thursday. So they will be closed as well. So
Back open on Friday and Saturday. Do what? They're gonna be open on Friday and
yes, they'll
Saturday.
be open on
like
Friday and
normal.
Saturday as normal, yes. And second of all, the transfer of appropriations. With your approval, we would like to transfer $200 from the highway, other supplies, safety, to highway office records and supplies.
For what reason?
There's just not quite enough in the highway office and records and supplies.
Auditor, any problem with that?
when I looked at the budget, but I'm sure it's fine.
Anybody on the board have a problem with that?
No.
I'll move that we approve the transfer of appropriation of $200.
That's okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Then we have Pine Ridge site lease agreement. Our lease for the Pine Ridge dumpster site is about to expire, so we have an agreement for all of you to sign to extend for 1 year. We usually try to get 5 years, but the owner does not want to because it's a good possibility he's gonna transfer it over to his daughter. So basically it's a year-to-year basis, so it's gonna be another, and she does not want it then. It's out in the Northfield. The Pine Ridge dumpster site, she does not want it there anymore, his daughter. So we'll see how it goes next year and the year after.
So I'm assuming that doesn't mean that she wants to sell it to us. She just wants it somewhere else.
Yes,
Probably.
but I did not talk to her yet. I'm gonna go up and talk to them. Hopefully, maybe we can change her mind, but it's just, when they farm it, they have to go around it, and they don't like that,
Understandable.
so.
Okay, do you have the agreement?
Yep.
Terms the same as they were previously, or is there a change?
Yes, yep. And we have W9 farm, so.
Mr. Schneider looked at this.
Yes.
What do you think? Can he get you with it?
I had made those requested changes. I did put in there that basically the party that they don't come to an understanding or give notice to terminate it with automatically renewed, but just for a 12-month term.
I don't remember. Did it say when they can cancel on us, or is it just the end of the term?
I think it was just.
You don't have to get notice or anything. It's our notices, it's the end of the term.
I think we were already aware of what their position was, so.
Okay. I'll move that we approve the lease agreement.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Okay, me and Levi will both be out of town Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at the ICC conference in Indianapolis. Tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. So, but also depends on the weather too. I know we lucked out on Saturday night with ice as far as raining throughout the night, and a good thing it warmed up instead of cooled down. So that saved us then, but as far as tonight, it doesn't look like it's gonna hold back. So hopefully it's only 1 or 2 inches. We'll send the sanders out. We're gonna pre-treat today. I told them to head out as late as they can, but get done before the end of the shift, so all the traffic don't blow it all off.
Right.
So,
It's that time of year.
yep, that time of year.
Anything else for Mr. Leakin?
No.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
County engineer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Start things off with an update on Bridge 21. This is the bridge located over Little Creek on 200 West, 0.6 miles north of County Road 600 North. We closed this bridge on 11/3 to begin the superstructure replacement. And then on 11/26, we poured the concrete deck. We had some freezing conditions, so we took some extra precautions there to protect the concrete from those freezing conditions. This week, we'll be adding the stone subbase on each side of the bridge to raise the roadway. And then next week, asphalt will be added to wedge it in up to the bridge deck to allow a smooth transition on and off the bridge. We will also install a guardrail next week. And then once all that work is done, we will break some concrete cylinders, make sure that strength is there that we need. And if those check out, then we will open the bridge late next week is the plan.
Tell me Tell me about cylinder brakes, what's that?
So we used to not do that as a county, but something I brought in is there's 4-inch diameter by 8-inch tall cylinder molds. And we put concrete in there. So when we pour a bridge deck that day, we'll take some of that concrete, put them in the cylinders, and then we cure them out in the field. And then say 7 days, we'll take them into a laboratory to break the cylinders and tell us the compressive strength. So we won't open that bridge to traffic until a compressive strength, the design strength is reached. In this case, it's 4,000 PSI. So that's our way of knowing. It's kind of cheap insurance. We know that that concrete is hit its intended design strength. And we know that it's safe to open it up to bridge and that the concrete actually performed how it was intended to.
And if it doesn't, then we tear it out?
It doesn't, we got problems and talking to the concrete plant, see who's pointing fingers at who to see whose problem was and if it's a quality issue with the batch plant or if it's something we did.
Is the weather gonna be a problem with the asphalt pour?
No, asphalt will be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then the next project is going to be Bridge 116 on County Road 820 East. This is located 0.8 miles north of Schnellville Road. So the plan is to replace the superstructure on that bridge as well. We're going to close the road on Monday, December 8th and begin demolition of the concrete deck and steel beams. And we'd like to have that concrete poured by the end of the year. So before Christmas, then over Christmas break, the concrete can sit there and cure and then have it open to traffic early January. That one there, we'll post the notice on Facebook, DuBois County Free Press, and also on the radio. And the crew is going out there today to put signs up to give advance. Any questions on that one?
Just send me the language you want and I'll post it.
Okay. And then I wanted to give an update on the Bridge Safety Improvement Project. This was the federal grant that we applied for. The application was officially submitted on November 19th to NDOT. So now it's just a matter of a waiting game to see if we will be awarded the funds to upgrade the guardrail and improvements on 50 to 60 of the county's bridges. NDOT is planning to announce awards sometime around the end of January 26.
I want to go back to the bridge part just because I have a question. So when we put the guardrails on, are you doing the guardrails like we've traditionally always done them, where they're static metal, or are you going to use the new ones with the yellow hashes and the?
We reused the guardrail that was on there. We just remove it and then reset it. We put new posts on it. Otherwise, the rail itself is the same.
Because when you said you were doing guardrail, I thought that was interesting. So I didn't know you were replacing it or just reusing.
Reuse.
Okay. But in the future, if we had a new one, what is your plan as the engineer?
Would have to match in kind what was there. We would reuse. We'd prefer to reuse the existing guardrail that's already on that bridge. So we would just use exactly what's there. And then Bridge 78, that is located on County Road 600 West. That's where Division Road turns into County Road 600 West, over Patoka River. So the council did approve the funds for the rehabilitation project, which consists of a rigid deck overlay with hydro demo, semi-integral in-bank conversions, and full depth HMA approaches. The plans and contract documents, which American Structure Point is doing, are 95% complete. Plan to have those wrapped up in the next week or two. So that way we can advertise those plans and contract documents in the end of December to early January, with the goal to get it awarded to a contractor sometime in February. And then that work will occur the spring and summer of 2026. Heads up on that there, it is going to be a full closure, approximately 1.5 to 2 months. There's not a good detour around that. It will impact the traveling public. It's one of those, it is what it is. We've got to do this work. But just a heads up on that.
Have we done any work on that bridge in the last decade? I don't remember. I mean,
we haven't performed much work on that for the past 60 years when it was initially built. So it's due for it. A bridge of that size, it's 222 foot long. So it's one of the largest bridges the county has, so,
It's gonna be a big impact on those people.
it will, but it's a lot less of an impact than replacing the whole bridge if we were to do nothing with it and have to replace it sooner down the road, so.
No, I don't think there's a good alternative, but it still
No.
doesn't make it any better. Yeah,
Agreed.
got it.
And then last but not least, I wanted to give an update on the small structure inspection. This is a contract we have with BF&S, and they inspect the small structures, which are on a 3-year cycle. So the phase 1 report, I handed a summary to you. That's just the first few pages. There's a lot more to that report, but that was completed along with the field work, which consisted of 106 small structures ranging from a 6-foot span to a 19.99 foot span. These routine inspections allow for any problems to be detected early on and corrected before they become major hazards. The inspections are important for budgeting and planning purposes for repairs and maintenance work to ensure they can be reliably maintained and in good condition. So overall, it's really important to the traveling public, important for safety. So.
Would you agree that our options would be, because we've only been doing this, what do you think, Commissioner Hoss, maybe 6 years or something? Probably we did the small structure. So before that, I guess we just didn't inspect them, or we inspected them ourselves. So if we were to do these same inspections ourselves, we just need another staff member probably. Right?
That's exactly what it would take. And there's, for what we pay for what you get out of inspections, it's worth it. It's necessary. Like you said, prior to the small structure inspection contract, these were not being inspected routinely, which small structures, you're getting to small bridges. Anything 6 foot, something fails, that can cause, it can be bad. So that's kind of why we set it at 6 feet. Small structures are actually defined as 4 foot and greater. Other counties and state entities will go down to 4 feet. We kind of want to find that balance. That's why we did 6 feet, because we wanted to try to keep costs down where we can. So we just inspect the less than 6 feet in the house yet.
When you reviewed their priorities and I'm sure you spot checked these, do you agree with them, with their?
I do. There's also an open line of communication throughout the inspection. So they're filling me in as they inspect these, and they get with us too to say, hey, what's high priority? Because what they may see as high priority may not be for the county if it gets 2 cars a day.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few things on there that were, I would say, immediate issues that needed to be addressed, and they reached out and got those to us before the report was finalized, and our bridge crew got those resolved in a timely manner.
Sounds good to me. Anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a miscellaneous item. I've had a person that, a community member reach out. They think they either volunteer with or they're a board member of the Humane Society, and anyway, they're just an animal lover person, and they wanted to remind us again, and this was brought up just a couple of years ago, that Dogwood may not be able to take animals indefinitely, right? The veterinarian may retire at some point, and it's just something we need to be thoughtful for in the future. If we will need to find an alternative to take our rescue dogs or problem dogs that were found in the course of business in the county. So just something we need to consider. I guess that means we could either find another veterinarian's office that could help us with doing similar work, or we've had talks in the past about an animal control officer, but there's a lot of, do we need a structure? There's a lot of things that we've got a pretty good deal going now. They take them over, we pay the expenses, and if they aren't claimed in so many days, then either they go to the Humane Society if they can. If they're violent or very ill, then they're put down. The goal is always to get them to a loving home, but Oh, just something that, may pop up at some point. Any thoughts?
Do they have to go to a veterinarian?
I don't-
I'm assuming
no, I
they
wouldn't
probably
think so.
need a visit to a veterinarian, but we have some of these places that do dog boarding. If we could possibly make a contract with someone like that, these dog boarding businesses.
I think the problem might be that if we say they get a doctor visit, a veterinary visit, and it goes to a boarder, if they aren't claimed, what are they gonna do with them?
We probably have to be in the same.
They'd have to have a relationship with the Humane Society or the veterinarian again.
Right.
So, just something that may be coming up in the future, and this person is willing to help us in any way that they can. Just one of the many things that come up in the course of our business, so just maybe keep that in mind, and if you have any ideas, we can talk about that. Okay, we have just a few more minutes here. So the last couple of meetings, I brought up things regarding the FSSA. Just opioid matching grants, not necessarily FSSA. That was a different one last week, or last
Working
time.
with him on that one.
Okay.
I'll just have to get-
But what we had was a couple places that were asking us for, that had requests for funds from our opioid money, and the Safe Haven and the Operation Mind, Body, and Soul, and I just wanted to get both of your opinions on what your thoughts were on that. So, Commissioner Hofstadter, what are your thoughts on those requests?
I'm sorry, I was taking a note.
The opioid money, we had 2 requests,
Oh, yes.
and I just didn't know what your thoughts were on those.
No, I'm not opposed to either of the two. I think we had, was it? We could split it correctly.
I believe at the last meeting, the auditor said we would have approximately
You have to
$94,000
remember,
left.
you got 2 funds and they have to remain separate.
Mhm.
The first fund is the restricted, and it has to be used for that exhibit E,
Mhm.
or they pull all the money back from us.
Mhm.
So when you guys decide, make sure it meets that exhibit E, if it's gonna be in the restricted fund. That's for opioid use only,
Mhm. The other one is open to anything.
open to anything.
But overall, we had, I think, $100,000 between the 2 of them left.
Right.
Somewhere in that range, so we have more requests than that.
Right. Was 100. But if it's for that purpose of the restricted, we wanna make sure we're using it for that purpose.
Commissioner Stefano, thoughts?
I mean, I'm not opposed to either one of them.
Would you not, are you guys not ready to take any action on it? Do you still want more time on it, or
I was reading here, when is our deadline?
there isn't one?
Okay.
We have it, we have it
You know that
budgeted
was the end
for,
of the year.
we have it budgeted, and the good portion of it is already tied up, but we have additional money. So we could say, we're not gonna take any action on either of these. We're gonna see if there's any other requests that come in. If there are, we'll consider those. Or we could say, we will do one of these, neither of these, partially fund them. I mean, we have a whole range of things. I would say that from my discussions with the JRAC, that the Safe Haven DuBois County Transportation Program is very important to the people that's been getting good use. So part of me is partial to helping that continue. If you remember, the DuBois County Community Foundation had helped them and worked with them in some ways. They support the first year, and they're gonna need funds to continue what they're doing. So I would at least, my suggestion would be that we at least partially fund that. Or we can have them come in and talk to us if you prefer to have them do that too. If they're happy to come in and give us a presentation over and above what I presented. Would you like me to have that happen?
I think it'd probably be a good idea.
And what about Operation Mind, Body, and Soul? You want me to have Mr. Taylor come in too and do it that way so you can hear it straight from them?
Yeah, I think so.
So with him, I would say he's got a number of things here that are a number of components. I would say, what's your number one priority? Or what do you think is the number one priority in the county? And we can go that direction. So we're not telling them yes or no. We're just telling them if they would like to come in and give a presentation, that would help us. Does that sound fair?
That's fair.
Sounds fair.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about the regional sewer district. We have a couple guests here from Clark Dietz, our consultant on the project. And yeah, let's start there. And if you'll introduce yourself for the record.
Sure. I'm Shane Spicer with Clark Dietz, design engineer on the project. We got Keith Titzer here with us as well. I want to touch on 3 sections, kind of high level, and then I think it'll be good from there. We can probably have a dialogue to answer any questions that you guys may have above and beyond. But starting off with finances, if we can't finance it, there obviously is no project. Baker Tilly is working with the city to come up with an interlocal agreement to come up with terms of how they will operate and maintain the system, as well as what that cost will be to you. And I believe on November 21st, that draft was presented to the city, and the city is reviewing it. And Chad, you may know, or you all may know for sure when the exact date that that's going to go to the city, which I believe is somewhere here in a couple of weeks. So we won't know what their anticipated operation and maintenance rates will be for another couple of weeks. With that said, there was another financial consideration considering the median household income, which really drives what your interest rates would be on any bonds or loans that you would get from the Indiana Finance Authority. And my understanding is it's a little bit skewed the way the boundaries are drawn, and the MHI for our service area appears to be a little higher than what is actually representative for the folks that live there. The Indiana Finance Authority folks are aware of that, as well as Baker Tilly, and we have discussed that with them to address that. And as part of good faith, I believe that since IFA is aware of that situation, they have kind of earmarked about $1 million of forgivable loans. I wouldn't necessarily call it grants, but a way to kind of buy down the rates. And Baker Tilly a couple months ago did a sensitivity analysis to see how far that $1 million would take. And it was pretty substantial, as you can imagine. $1 million did go a long way. So we're hopeful that perhaps we get a better picture of what the MHI is going to be, and then perhaps maybe get even additional forgivable loans and things of that nature. The big question is how do you pull in revenue and pay your bills whenever you don't have everybody hooked on, where you got a staggered system of folks coming on? When we spoke to IFA, they said that they would look at the potential to give some sort of a principal forgiveness at first. And as we slowly hook people on, then we would start paying back more principal. So essentially be kind of an interest payment. And a lot of these, you got to bear with me here, these are hypotheticals that we're floating out with the Indiana Finance Authority that they have brought up in some of these meetings and are entertaining these ideas. So the good news is IFA is, to me, the best agency to work with in the state as far as obtaining funds. They are aware of the situation and they're trying everything they can do to work with us. As you know, our score went from 40 something up to 12, just like that, kind of caught everybody off guard in a good and bad way because we had kind of slowed down our design efforts because it was not looking like we were really going to be fundable. So that really truncated our schedule, and we knew that going in that what I was proposing is a closing on the fourth quarter of 25, which would actually be March of 26. And there's a lot of things that need to be done still. We've got to get land acquisition. This is kind of transferring from financial into administrative type of things. We have to get land acquisition. We have to get our drawings to a point to where we can actually get them out to bid, which, we're not far away from a lot of these things, but land acquisition is a long lead item, and you're looking at usually 6 to 12 months to be able to do land acquisition. And I believe the very first phone call that we were on, I wanted to make that a priority from the first get-go. Is look, the elephant in the room is being able to get property owners to sign on and get all that taken care of. So what we kind of agreed to at the moment, and again tentatively agreed, is to remain to try to get to that fourth quarter closing in March, but keep the Indiana Finance Authority abreast of what's going on. And if we have to, we can push back and hopefully not lose our spot. If that makes any sense, not lose our spot in the fundable range.
I mean, we're talking about land acquisition. Again, we're looking at, just so I can get your current position on it, are we looking at doing staying in the existing right of way for a portion of the project, going out of the existing right of way and trying to get help from the community on that, and then going back in? Or where are we at with that? How much would be in the existing right of way? How much would be new right of way?
We would obviously, I think in town, we could probably stay within most of the limits of the right of ways. The big question is the corridor project. Right now, I believe there are 2 alignments that have been kind of earmarked as the 2 that they really want to take a look at. Each one of those alignments have a different right-of-way requirement. So I can't remember the actual width of the corridor study, but let's say it's 1,000 feet or whatever. It's 2,000.
It was 2,000.
Yeah, 2,000 feet. It still really is 2,000 feet, which is a long way, right? And so, ideally, we would not want to put our sewers inside of NDOT right-of-way just from the fact of if they come in there and say, okay, we're doing the corridor project, just say hypothetically 3 years later, now RSD, you need to move your sewers out of here and you're going to have to pay for it. So, I was hoping that the scope would get narrowed down to a point where we could identify a route that would get us out of that situation where we could just go ahead and purchase easements from landowners if it's possible and not have to incur a cost to move later on. So, and that's one of those situations that makes this difficult is there's so many moving parts to that. And that project, NDOT projects are not quick. I know there's still discussions about lots of things with that project that could push it out in the future, could kill it. I don't know. But that's the long-winded answer is, we would try to stay within existing right-of-ways as much as possible. But at this point, what we've done is he's the surveyor, he'll know the right terminology, but whenever we go after and we get easements and land acquisition, we have to pull together all the deeds, and we're probably talking 200 some odd deeds, right? So it's a pretty good feat. Each deed has at least 4 or 5 calls, some of them have more. A lot of those deeds are incorrect. So over the past 6 weeks, we've had folks just dedicated to getting these deeds put together, tied into the public land survey system, which I think we're done with that. And the last section we need to do is come in and do more of the tighter grid and go out and collect some local monuments and property corners. And we'll have that done probably in the next week or 2. So as far as bringing you up to date on where we're with that, we're probably 75% done with the easement plat mapping. And then from there, we can start figuring out if we need to start drawing more easements. So,
Again, if we're not following, if we go in the existing right of way and the state comes in and they want to do anything, not just the mid-states corridor, it could be another project, and they want to go over that right of way, they could say, you have to move your pipes.
Yeah.
If we buy or acquire our own right of way, then they would have to pay us to
yes.
disrupt us. Does that make sense? Okay.
In thinking about it, if say the project's not gonna be built, the corridor project's not gonna be built until the 2030s, right? If we go out and acquire the right of way and they end up, coming onto us, once we have that easement, then, we're good, like you're saying, even though they're pushing our right of way, moving us, we won't have to pay for it. You get reimbursed for that.
So from a risk standpoint, my suggestion was we buy or acquire whatever right of way we have to for the whole 2,000 feet. The rest of it we use the existing for expediency. Just because that's already existing, we can probably get in that pretty easily. And then, whatever that space is, but they're handling it.
So what I'm hoping here in the next couple of weeks, what we'll have is, because we already have our design alignments ready. Once we get the easement or the deeds placed to the local monuments, we'll be able to see exactly where it's hitting with our alignments and identify exactly where we may need some properties, and we can sit down and send it to you guys, and we can kind of talk about, what next steps, what that may look like for easements go. The PER, there was a couple of outstanding for those of you, the PER is a preliminary engineering report. This project started in 2020. I think there's been 2 PERs submitted. We are updating just a portion of the last submittal with IFA, and that is to cover, we did change a little bit of the alignments to try to save you some money. And also try to avoid some environmental areas. So since we did adjust the alignment somewhat, we have updated the environmental portion of the PER that reflects where we are at today. And then there is a small section that I need to write that basically just tells them what the operation and maintenance cost is going to be, 20-year life cycles on these different things. So my little technical part's pretty short, bust that out pretty quick, but we need to kind of have some dollar numbers. When I spoke to IFA a few weeks ago, kind of our plan or our goal and our hope was to, by say January-ish, which is rapidly approaching, to get the PER approved and the plans approved. That way it's shovel ready. When I talked to Camille, she was like, we need to get this shovel ready. Because we just don't know when another bunch of money could come along. It does happen. Sometimes plans sit on the shelf for 4 or 5 years. I've had them sit on the shelf for 7 years before money came along that was able to get us not from necessarily a fundable range, but to an affordable range. But with the sunken cost that the county's already dumped in on all the engineering and this, that, and the other, getting that PER approved and getting the plans approved and shovel ready and sitting there, hopefully we can garner more attention from the state and perhaps pull in some more money. That's the plan of the hope. Trying to see here on my notes if there's anything major that I have left out.
Going back to that original statement he made while he's looking for something else, one of the reports we had our median household income in Hayesville at $141,000. And to give you a little reference, the median household income for the whole county is about $72,000. So when that came up, something just didn't ring right. So if they're looking at us and everybody in that average home makes $140,000, they say you're not a town that has need. To me, it doesn't appear that the majority of the customers that we would have, there was an error there. Let's just put it that way.
There's an error there, and I think we can get that straight. Hopefully get that straight.
I think it's odd to me because if you're in an area that is poor, right, the average income of the home owners is low, then they will give you more money to help do sewer. But if you're above a certain limit, they won't. To me, the income of the household, it shouldn't make any difference because those households aren't buying their own sewer. They're not, they're not creating a public utility themselves. So what does it really matter? Everybody has a need for public utilities such as sewer. So I think that's an odd metric to use.
It is, and we had talked about doing a income survey, which may still need to be done. I'm not sure, Chad, but
I don't think so.
I wouldn't think so. And again, I don't definitely want to put words in anybody at the state's mouth, but they're all very aware that that's just mistakes happen, right? And it's not a perfect system. So hopefully we can get that straightened out because it gets you a lower interest rate and bumps you up higher on the score. And of course, we already have an environmental need, which is obviously a really high marker on the score. So, the project itself is strong. It's just we have such a small customer base. And then, I think when this project was first started, right before COVID or during COVID, costs were not what they are today. Inflation is touched every portion of everybody's lives, including construction, utility, electric rates, all this. But I think we can get it to a point, hopefully, that with some extra help, that we can make it a fundable project. I really didn't have any other notes. I mean, this is got a long history. Willing to answer any questions you guys got. Try to clear some air on some things.
The main thing that I keep asking Clark Dietz to work on, and I'm working with the city, and they're working with the city, is just we've got to have an agreement with them because they're going to be processing the effluent. I mean, there's going to be has to go somewhere to get processed, and so we're working at a partnership. The most important thing that I'm seeing is it's one thing to get the cost of putting it in. It's the other thing of making it affordable for the end user. And I mean, I'd be pretty upset if I was a homeowner and I went from paying zero. The same thing we've always talked about. You flush, it disappears, you think your system works. The health department will tell you that's not necessarily the case because it really matters where that goes. So going from $0 and your waste disappears to going to $180, that would be more than you could handle. That's more than I would want to handle by far. So when we started this, we were looking at, 5 years ago, it was $65 to $80 a month, right? And that's reasonable. But if it's going to be double that, people are not going to be happy, myself included. If it was, I wish it was going down my road. It's not at this time, but if it was, I'd be unhappy with it. So we've got to find a way to get this done because it's needed, and two, make it so that it's affordable and self-sustaining. Because the county doesn't want to probably put $1 million a year out of taxpayer funds. That benefits just such a small number of people. But so there's a lot to work out, but it's important. We have to find a way to work it out.
And there's some unrealized capital losses too. If like you said, you flush the commode and it goes away, you think it's fine, but it's really causing an environmental concern. It's devaluing your properties. And when you go to sell your house, you may be surprised about if you can even sell your house, right? And not to scare anybody or anything like that, but those situations can happen. In Scott County, where I work in Scott County Sewer District, there was a subdivision that was put in with failing septic tanks. And it was unfortunate because we couldn't afford to put sewers to them, but their values of their homes plummeted. So it's really to also to benefit home values and keep everybody's home prices rising. Septic tanks have a useful life of so many years, and they're not cheap either. Septic tanks, once they fail, they're $20,000, $15,000.
That's I'm a rural person. You probably have a septic system. That worries me. I mean, at some point
I got a
it's gonna fail,
septic too.
and I'm gonna have to come up with $15,000. At some point, it's a lot easier to pay $100 a month forever than $15,000 one time, right? And then $15,000 another 15 more years or whatever it is. So that's hard to. It's still hard as a citizen to say, I used to pay $0 a month, now I'm paying something.
Yeah.
But overall, like you said, it's an economic benefit because the lots up there would become more valuable because they'd be buildable. But there's just a number, and there's less E. coli going into the White River.
Yeah.
And in the ground. So, yeah, there's a lot of things a lot of benefits.
One thing that we will need to consider is the connections to the homes, which we can get into more details of that. That's going to be a big decision we need to make as far as how because we can't really fund that with SRF money, but we talked to Camille, there are some ways that we can kind of leverage other possible funds, maybe perhaps with some of the match money. But just want to bring that up too, because as we know, there's, this is an octopus. This has got lots of legs to it.
And I think I would still be where we were initially, that if we put the line in, it's within so many hundred feet of your house, you're gonna be required to put it on unless you have a brand new system, right? There's gonna be, something. But to sign you up initially, we're gonna pay for it. If you do it in 6 months or a year, you're paying for it to come from the street to your home. So I still think that would be if I'm a homeowner, that's gonna be another big benefit to me, that I don't have to pay for that connection.
And you can capture that revenue from day one, and you don't have to necessarily worry about, in a small community over in southern Indiana, closer to Madison, the Scott County Sewer District, was about 120 homes that were a similar situation. We ended up doing a low pressure system over there, but the district figured out a way to come up with funds to be able to actually go ahead and hook folks up. So we said, look, we go ahead and hook you up now, it's zero. If you wait, it's going to be $10,000, and that was 15 years ago. So, that motivated people to go ahead and get connected to. So, but, 10,000 for free. But
And when you're scaling it, if you've already got the workers out there at the neighbor's house, it's a lot cheaper to do your house.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get consistency of work.
Yeah.
And you're gonna know who's responsible instead of having 14 different contractors putting these things in. It's in our benefit and the homeowner's benefit. We wanna make it a benefit for everybody to do it initially.
So I know it's a lot, but if you guys got any questions at any point in time, email me, call me. Be glad to come to any meetings that you guys need. We are pushing very, very hard to try to get this. To be honest with you, it's going to be really hard to get that March 31st or whatever date closed. But the good bad news of it is, I think Jasper as well is kind of in the same. I think actually the last phone call we had, I think they may be a quarter or two behind us. So if even if we align with them on their timing, even though they can serve us, there's some flexibility. I will say one thing: I am on the ACEC funding board, and there is some discussions about how next year's budget's going to look. So I don't know. I think we're okay, but I also want to throw out there that there is a possibility of if the sooner we can get it done, the better, right? The longer that we wait and push it out, the money's going to probably start going down from state level, but they don't know that for sure yet.
Just to throw this out there for anybody that doesn't know, ACEC is the American Council of Engineering Companies. It's a grouping of engineering companies. We all get together and try to understand new rules and regulations, but then also, kind of influence. It's a back and forth between the legislative world and the engineering company world and all the way up to the federal level. So it's a grouping of engineering companies that all get together and advocate.
And they probably will be sending a survey out here pretty soon. I don't know if you guys remember 5 or 10 years ago. Well, they try to do it, I think, about every 4 or 5 years. We'll just send the cities and counties wish list of things that you need. So they take that up to Washington and say, okay, well, Indiana needs $20 billion, right? So they're in the process of redoing that. And Indiana's always done a pretty good job of spending the money that we get. But there's less money. There's less money spent. But just wanted you to be aware of that. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but just something, trying to be transparent and let you guys know.
Engineer, highway superintendent, either of you have any questions for Mr. Spicer?
No.
About the project? Commissioners? Stefano?
No, I don't.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kleesner and Ms. Lewis, your council members, do you have anything that you wanted to bring up regarding the sewer project at this time? Don't want to put you on the spot a whole lot, but just wanted to give you an opportunity if you did.
I don't. I think he answered some of the questions I had, so.
Right, I thought you did a very good job explaining that, so thank you, but yes, the county and Esco County, we're still looking out for additional funding also to help with that project.
Thank you. Okay, let's do some miscellaneous items until our next, we have to award highway bids at 9:00. Okay, so first off, we have a chair down at the CASA, and they have don't have a need for it anymore. They're getting Best Chairs is donating a couch for them, and it's going to replace this futon that they have currently. I'll move that we declare the current item surplus to be disposed of.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. There's that. I want to check one thing. So we're going to be doing our appointments. We're going to look at those again here in a moment. We had a somewhat of a surprise, I think, in our last meeting with one of the people that has dropped out or doesn't want to be reappointed. So I've been working on that. I just want to see if I had any new information on that. I don't. So I think I saw that one.
Yeah.
So let's just go through these real quick. The first page of our appointments looks like those, we have them all full. Mr. Dilger with the Ferdinand Planning Commission, they sent us a letter. He would like to be reappointed, so we're good there. Is that what you found too?
I just spoke with you.
Okay. So Mr. Hostler spoke with him and we got a letter, so that one's good. Page 2, it looks like, pardon me?
Just this one here, yeah, I don't have anybody.
That's the one that we were waiting on, and then mine was.
Are you tourism?
No. These are taken care of already.
Okay.
So I believe, in from what I have, you please tell me if I'm wrong here. The only person that we are missing is the Property Tax Board of Appeals. We had Dwayne Pearson, I think you reached out to him.
I did.
Didn't want to be reappointed. So we have Mr. Smith who wants to be reappointed for 1 year. So that's it. I believe out of all of our appointments, the only one we have left is that one. I've reached out to the assessor. The assessor said it'd be good to have either a residential appraiser or commercial appraiser to take their place, or a local realtor, someone that has knowledge of the local market. And so I reached out to Councilperson Craig to see if he knew of anyone, because he's in the real estate business. He gave me a few names. I gave him a few names. So there's somebody that I'm kind of working with to finalize. I think that this person would be a good candidate. They seemed like they had willingness, and they were going to talk to the assessor today to see if it's a fit. So the person for that Property Tax Board of Appeals, they meet about 4 or 5 days per year. Some of them are full days, some of them are partial days, and they do get a stipend for the days that they serve. So what I wanted to ask is, would you like us to approve the whole list of appointments, and just save that one position for next time? Okay. And let's just go ahead and, I guess, we've got 4 minutes until those things are, until we have to open the bids or accept the bids, I'm sorry. And let's just read through these, and so if we have it on the record of who's appointed. So for the 4-H Council, Ed Baglin, Sari Stefanago. Do you need me to go slow, or just
No,
if there's
I got
any
it.
changes? Okay, 911 Advisory Board, Chad Blessinger, Scott Evilhair. Airport Authority, Ken Schnauz. Alcoholic Beverage Commission, Dave Ring. The Ambulance Coordinator, Ryan Young. Ambulance Coordinator Assistant, Amanda Ferguson. DuBois Strong, Chad Blessinger, custodian, Scott Hope, county attorney, Gregory Schneier, DuBois County Child Protection Team, Suri Steftenagel, the Emergency Management Advisory Council, there's a number of these. Doug Upler, Nick Hostetter, Dean Vonderheide, Tom Kleinhelter, Neil Elkins, Ken Seacard, Brett Eckert, Tom Thacker, and Jonda Bowers with the Civil Air Patrol. So that was a change. It was someone else, but so it's Jonda. Bird and Plain Commission, Mark Gilder. The Health Board. So the two that are up for reappointment are Ryan Flamion, MD, and Dwayne Hope. The highway appointments for highway clerk, Ann Messmer. Highway engineer, Levi Leffert. Highway supervisor, Donald Leakin. Huntingburg Public Library Board, Lauren Tanner. Indiana 15, Regional Planning Commission, Nick Hostetter. Jasper Public Library Board, Pamela Catt. Museum Board, Margaret Wagner. Northeast DuBois Fire Protection District, Steve Dodd and Michelle Cave. Park and Rec Board, Tony Hassenauer. The Property Tax Board of Appeals, we're gonna hold, that's the only one we're gonna hold on. Solid Waste Management District Board, Ken Seacard. Tourism Committee, Chris Treader and Jim McFall. TriCap Board of Directors, Emily Meyer. And then for the Weed Control Board, James Meyer, Kenneth Eck, Mark Hochsang, Pat Eckerly. Does the board sound like those meet?
You said, I had for emergency management, Josh Bowers, that's not correct?
No, it's
John.
Lieutenant Jonda, Jonda. So that's a change.
And then you're gonna not do any of the property board of appeals?
Right, because, and the reason for that is we have to stagger those appointments. So Mr. Smith said he wants to do 1 year, but I wouldn't want to appoint either of them just in case there's some contention that maybe the new person only wants to do 1 year too, and we'll have to have a discussion to get them on.
True.
So, all of the appointments that I read, I will move that we approve those appointments.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And let's do the highway annual bid awards, please.
So the county received sealed bids the past commissioners meeting on December 17th. Now here to give recommendation for award for each of those for the materials that will be used for 2026. So for item number 1, that was the aluminized steel pipe type 2. We received 3 bids, 2 firm bids. E3 Bridge has an escalation and de-escalation clause and a freight charge on less than $7,500. Civilcon has a freight charge on less than $10,000. And Metal Culverts pricing is based on a $7,500 minimum order. So my recommendation is to award it to both Civilcon and Metal Culverts based on the availability and the cost. The cost is going to be based on the order quantity and avoiding freight charge. So depending on how much we would order, ultimately what the lowest cost would be would depend on who we go with. So for that reason, I would recommend award to Civilcon and Metal Culverts. E3 Bridge is disqualified since they did not have a firm bid due to the escalation and de-escalation costs.
So for the board's benefit, I would recommend we hear out each of the bids for each of the items, and we will make a recommendation to approve all of them at the end, unless at some point one of the items is we don't like. Would that be okay?
Comes through.
Great. For item number 2, that's the polyethylene smooth interior pipe. We received 4 bids. 3 of those were firm bids. Southern Indiana Supply has a $50 drop charge on orders less than $2,000. E3 Bridge could have a freight charge depending on the size of the order. Civil Con has an escalation clause. Correction, Civil Supply has an escalation clause, and Civil Con has a freight charge on less than $10,000. So my recommendation is to award to both Southern Indiana Supply and to E3 Bridge based on availability and cost. The truckload pricing on E3 Bridge is the low bid, but the less than a truckload price by Southern Indiana Supply is the low bid. So depending on how much we order, again, it would depend on who we would go with on that. Civil Con is the high bid, and Civil Supply is disqualified since they were not a firm bid.
Who is Civil Supply? Is that a newer one? I don't remember that.
They've been around for a while. Sometimes we receive bids from them, sometimes we don't.
The other one sounded familiar. I didn't remember Civil Supply. Okay.
Item number 3 is geotextile fabric. We received 4 bids, with 3 of those being firm bids. Civil Con has a $10,000 minimum purchase to avoid freight charge. Civil Supply has an escalation and de-escalation clause. My recommendation is to award to both Southern Indiana Supply and to Civil Con based on availability and cost. Again, that final cost is going to be based on the size of the order and if we can avoid a freight charge. E3 Bridge was high, and Civil Supply is disqualified due to not being a firm bid. That was for the woven geotextile fabric. For the non-woven geotextile fabric, I recommend awarding to Southern Indiana Supply and Civil Con as well, based on availability and final cost. E3 Bridge was high, and Civil Supply is disqualified due to not being a firm bid. Moving on to item number 4, this is the ready mix concrete. We received 2 bids for this item, both of which are firm. IMI stated there will also be a $20 per load environmental fee on all deliveries. IMI did not provide the procurement form with the sealed bid. The signed form was provided after bid opening. Concrete Supply has a fuel charge of $20 per load. So if you look at the numbers there, IMI is the low bidder, but I consider them unresponsive since they did not provide a procurement form. That was a form that was required to be submitted with the sealed bids. So for that reason, I would recommend Concrete Supply to be the primary provider. With concrete, we need to have a backup based on availability and quality. So I did reach out to IMI and asked if they could provide the procurement form after the fact, and they did. But since it was after the fact, I would recommend awarding them as a backup. Kind of give you numbers on there. You're looking about $5.50 difference on the cost per yard in Class C concrete. Based on how much concrete we use in a year's time, it comes up to about $1,500, just if you're curious. Item number 5, it's going to be the asphalt, the bituminous material for the oils, I meant, not the asphalt.
But back to item 4.
Yep.
So is the board okay with what he said there with?
Yeah.
They left the form out, but we have to, it's in our best interest to have a backup so we are able to accept the bid this way, or we are welcome to say, to throw it out as non-responsive, but it's in our benefit to keep it. Is everybody still okay with that? I just know that that's a little, sometimes we've had issues with those in the past, and so, okay, thank you.
Item number 5, the 2025 bid is carried over to 2026 per the commissioner minutes dated 10/6/25. Item number 6, hot asphaltic concrete. We received 4 bids. 4 have the ability to escalate and de-escalate. I recommend awarding to J.H. Rudolph, Cape Quarries, and E&B Paving. That's going to be based on the cost and location of the job site. I do not recommend awarding to CNR since their plant is located in Corden as well as EMB's, and CNR was higher than EMB's. So if it made sense for us to go to Corden and get asphalt, we're gonna choose EMB over CNR.
So these are things we pick up? Or they
Yes.
deliver it?
Yes, we pick up.
Okay, so even though they're considerably cheaper, 2 hours of our time.
Yeah, depending on what part of the county we're in, we're gonna, on how the logistics work, we can have more time wrapped up in man hours,
Right.
fuel costs. So depending on the need of the project, and the location would determine what makes the most sense on where we're gonna get that asphalt at. That's why I recommend awarding all three, which this is what we've done typically in the past as well with awarding. Item number 7 is cold mix. We received 3 bids. All 3 have escalation and de-escalation clauses. I recommend awarding to J.H. Rudolph and Cave Quarries based on the cost and the job site location. I do not recommend awarding to CNR because they were the high bid. Item number 8 is stone from the quarry. So this is, we pick up the stone. We received 2 bids with 2 firm bids. I recommend awarding to Cave Quarries, Calcar Quarries, and also Molzer crushed stone. So this is going to be based on the price, location, as well as the quality of the stone. Last but not least, item number 9 is stone. This is going to be delivered by.
Have we had an issue with the quality of the stone?
You
What do you
can,
just get, more
depending on the gradation, the moisture content in the 53s, if it's too wet, not wet enough. It's kind of one of those things that there's some quality control involved. So if we start seeing quality issues with the stone, we want to be able to make that change.
I understand.
Not typical, but it can happen. Item number 9 is stone. This is stockpiled and spread on roads, so delivered by vendors to areas where we need it at. And I recommend awarding to Cave Quarries and Molzer crushed stone based on the price, location, and quality of the stone.
So is this a ton price? Like where it says 53, number 53 is from Cave Quarries, 2185 to Bainbridge.
That is correct.
So your ton price is almost double, or
About, because you're paying
Delivered.
for that truck.
so who makes the call of, is that your call or Mr. Leakin's call on what we're picking up, what's delivered?
It gets discussed in the morning on what jobs, where we're going to work that day to figure out what's coming from where and what makes the most sense.
Do both of these firms, or do all the firms call them that day and they deliver that day? Or do you have to plan ahead?
Normally they'll come that day, if not next, it just depends. Like usually most we get hauled in is the 73s. And that's whenever we do a lot of shoulder stone and, but usually our driver can keep it up further.
Okay. So does the board have any comments or questions about the bids for the material supply?
Great.
I'll move that we approve and award these bids per the recommendations of the highway engineer.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that letter that I passed out there, that is just we'll take care of that next. With the conflict of interest form, it is, the Baker Tilly is working with the city of Jasper. They have this is going back to the sewer district. They have a group working with them. A group from Baker Tilly working with the city of Jasper. We have a group that's working with us. They are separate groups. We have a conflict of interest form here, just stating that we understand that, and it lays out that those entities are both keeping separate from each other. They're doing work separately, and we just protect them and to protect us. That needed to be made aware. So is there, after you reviewed this, is there any problems you have with it?
No.
What was in black was the original document. City of Jasper had a couple of suggestions. They made some changes. Mr. Schneer and I both reviewed. I think we're both fine with the document as it is. So what I've requested is a final form, one that's just one color, and for I guess my signature. So I wanted to get the okay from the board. I'll make a motion that we sign and approve the waiver of conflict of interest form.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. That way I can just get that done this week. They'll send me a current copy. You can't see that. Okay. So we have a couple of agreements here to review. We have one from Lau for the agreement that we've talked about at a couple meetings for technical.
Treasurer's financial software.
So this is a technical service agreement. I believe we've reviewed all of this. I don't have any changes. Mr. Schneer, you reviewed it. I think you're satisfied.
Correct.
Any questions or comments from the board?
No.
I'll move that we approve signing the agreement.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Purdue Extension Agreement. So this had a couple items that needed updated, but there was a typo, and we had our county language added. So I believe it's in the correct form now. Anyone have any comments or questions on the Purdue Extension?
No.
Good. I'll move that we approve the extension contractual service agreement between Purdue and DuBois County.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Mr. Wilson. Morning, sir.
Good morning. Stuart Wilson from DuBois County 911, and I'm here talking about maintenance agreements for UPSs that are in place at 911 and also the sheriff's office. There was some email communication that I sent last week.
What is a UPS? Just for
The UPS is a battery backup that sustains for 911, sustains our entire operation in the event of a power outage. While the generator starts, that UPS keeps power alive for our center so we can continue to receive 911 calls, continue with operations as normal, like the power's not even out. It holds us for some minutes while the generator starts and gets up to operating capacity. The units were placed when the original build happened, starting for the sheriff's office side before us, but they've been in place for the entire time that we've been there. It was actually placed early ahead of us being there. They have performed flawlessly. There's not been any issues. We're just looking at preventative maintenance for the units. I've navigated for several months trying to find competing bidders for maintenance contracts, and I've kind of struck out. I reached out locally and received no response, and then another local response that directed me to contact CM Buck, who had already contacted me. I reached out to the manufacturer of the units, Schneider Electric. I was also directed to CM Buck by Schneider Electric. So I did negotiate with them and convince them to reduce the amount by 20%, talking about the dollar side of it, which was the biggest concern from everybody. And then I think in working with the community corrections director, he has decided to forego a maintenance agreement in the event to just save some money. He doesn't feel it's as critical for his operation. The sheriff's office is in a different position. That power backup maintains cameras and door controls for the jail. and it's a very critical part of their operation, just like 911 call delivery is a critical part for our operation. So I do believe that they do need to be maintained. I think we've gotten down to the bare minimum of what I would be comfortable with as far as a contract for services. I don't have the funding for that, and neither does the sheriff's office yet. That would be my next step. I am waiting on the additional contract signing information Chad sent over last week, I think it was. I forwarded that to the vendor. He didn't foresee that being an issue. I do not have that back.
I think he's talking about the required county language.
Yeah. And then I did realize on the quote, the most recent version of the quote dated November 24th, it does have net 30, and that'll need to be changed. Other than that, I think we should move forward.
Mr. Schneerwood, we usually ask for a minimum of 45. We hope for 60, but. Correct.
I'll negotiate that higher with them. It's a matter of the claims being processed. Right. I think it's an important part. We would be looking at a total ask to fund from the county council for both departments of $7,019, $3,509 per unit. It's a lot of money to pay, but we need these units to be 100% reliable. There's no wiggle room on 911 call delivery. There's no wiggle room on cameras and door controls in the jail.
So let's just, for my benefit, I guess, and maybe the benefit of everybody. So if the power, so we're working as normal. There's weather, power goes out. You're down, or let's say there's no UPS. The generator kicks on a minute later.
Right.
So what we're out is a minute. And a reboot.
And which for us, and by the time we reboot servers and all the machines, I think best case scenario would be 10 minutes.
And you don't have anything that's analog or anything that is just works without power anymore.
No, there are no analog systems
Because
whatsoever.
it used to be you could answer the telephone when the power was out. We can't do that anymore because it's all internet.
Yeah, that infrastructure does not exist anymore.
Right.
It's all IP-based infrastructure.
So in one hand, you think we're going to spend $7,000 a year for if the power might go out and if the generator might not kick on fast enough.
Correct.
On the other hand, if you're making that 911 call at that moment and you get cut off, or you make it when it's off, or if you're in the sheriff's building and you need to get a door open.
Yeah, you would have to manually, in the sheriff's office, they'd have to manually walk a key to wherever they're at. You've been in that building a lot. It's not a short walk many times. For us, if we get a 911 call that's disconnected or we are not operational, it will ring elsewhere. And their step would be immediately to try to transfer to us, which we would still be down. We have failovers in place, but they all take some minutes to get operational. We can roll to cell phones. We have a portable 911 on the go. If in the event we have to vacate the center, but that takes a phone call to the vendor, and there is some minutes of downtime. I would say 5 to 10 minutes.
So if we say no to this, it still probably will work. It still might work. But it's like any other piece of equipment, it needs to be looked at by people that know what they're looking at and maintained. So what this will do, please tell me if I'm wrong. Somebody from this company will come down once a year, they'll look at it, they'll test it, they'll make sure it's still in good shape. Additionally, if there's a problem sometime within the year, they will answer the phone, they will give you support.
We'll have a person in place. Otherwise, we would be starting from scratch. I can't imagine trying to start from scratch in the middle of the night, or off hours. If it was something would happen on a holiday weekend or any time at night, we would struggle to get somebody in the building.
And this guarantees 24 hours on site, right? If we
it could be expensive in the event that we have an emergency call, but I'm willing to. I think we can take on that risk. I think they're very reliable units. I think if they are physically maintained by keeping filters clean on the ventilation system, have appropriate software and firmware updates performed on them annually, I think we'll be sitting in a good position.
And with these, we've had power blips.
We've had an outage as long as, I know we had one that was a little over 2 hours. We've had multiple power failures. We've been in there about 15 months. The power's been out.
And your work hasn't been interrupted?
Never been interrupted. Almost all of them severe weather events, but some other regular power outages. We've never been impacted. The units have performed well.
So this gives us,
Pretty sure.
this takes care of the immediate issue. The generator should take care of the longer issue.
Yes. And I have spoken to Tom Blessinger at length from the sheriff's office about this, and he's in agreement with the plan that I presented here as well. Just, we'll solve the funding issue with the council. I'm not sure how that'll play out, but I don't think there's an emergent need. I'll be on the council agenda for January to talk to them about the funding.
Commissioner Stefano, thoughts on the project?
You had mentioned, the maintenance, they'll come to you and do maintenance once a year.
Correct.
Can we get them to come every 6 months instead of
If
once
we
a
wanted
year?
to pay them more, we could. I was,
Maybe we could negotiate that just a little bit. That's
I did-
how
I did,
important this is.
in the negotiation, I did get them to waive the initial inspection, which was $1,600 per unit. Because they've been out of warranty for some period of time, they wanted to bill us for an initial, when you look at the equipment. Did get them to reduce the estimates by 20%. I feel like that's pretty fair.
It might be negotiated out. Is that what you're saying?
I think I've given, I think they've given us all they're gonna give us.
They're not gonna bend anymore, are they?
I'd be surprised if they would be willing to go more.
Okay.
I did complain loudly and professionally to them about the cost, and I think I've done all I can do.
You've done a great job. I appreciate that. It's just, how important that is. We just
It
want
is.
to make sure it's, top notch, so.
Sure.
Sounds great.
Commissioner Husted, well,
Yeah, I'd say proceed.
okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the CM Buck agreement pending county council financial approval.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Carried. And so I'm not gonna sign it until you got money in place, and then we'll
Okay.
go from there.
Yeah, hopefully, we'll come back, the first meeting in February and be doing contract signing, money in place, we'll know at the time. I'll work with Sandy and we'll get it taken care of.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back in for the 9:30.
Played out in the state.
Give you my card, so yeah.
Just send it.
You're the new guy or?
Yeah, 6 months ago. I'm not gonna say who yet. Yes, sorry, I still got my old physics. Yeah, what would you think now?
They enjoy it, so.
Yeah. Good shop. It does, yeah.
Well, if you're gonna, you're gonna be on the board.
Thank you, sir.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be on the board? What's funded here? It is a Christmas.
It's kind of one of those things that just here, you
I figured, so many, depends on how you're, I can't recall, but there's so many from be sure to give it
But she had some ideas.
you got probably enough. I didn't realize that we used to go all the time.
somebody.
I'm still young.
We've been doing it all. Not that I care, I like myself doing it. Whoever those people are still. It's like you lost. They may be small.
Either way,
Yeah, while you're in town, if you can make those, good, at least talk to them. Thank you.
Just look at this chat, I guess. Go back This is Jason, is that right? On the Jason, appointment to the county board of health.
So we don't, there's somebody sign mine at the end. You guys still signing?
I'm just waiting.
You want me? All right. Get back to order, please. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item. The next thing on the agenda for 9:30 is Crossvine, I didn't sign those yet. Crossvine battery storage and solar, Holly Vogel.
I'm not Holly Ogle, but Jason Hiley, county resident. Just kind of wanted to touch base again on this project and let you guys know that Huntingburg last week it was determined that their approvals in Huntingburg went void after 2 years, so they were no longer valid, and Huntingburg passed a moratorium on solar so that they can look into their ordinances a little better and address them. I guess, it's kind of the same thing we asked you guys last week, if you had time to look at revoking the permit or putting in the solar moratorium. I guess be interested in hearing anything you had thoughts on those items.
Okay, we will address that. So we'll take everybody's feedback or whatever you wanted to bring, and then we'll give our responses.
Yeah, I mean, Jason summarized what we're here for today, to hear your status on your decisions on the moratorium as well as revoking the permit. I do want to share that my neighbors are here behind me again. There's an online petition going on right now that has over 430 signatures. And then we also have a separate one that has over 390 signatures on it. Holland does not want this project. Huntingburg does not want this project. So yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us today and look forward to hearing your stance on both the moratorium and the revoking of the permit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I think we can address some of this. Let's start with just something I wanted to share with the board, because I've been spending a lot of time reading and looking through a bunch of things. I think by email yesterday, I sent you both a document that I found as I was doing research on this, on the economic impact and land use analysis of the Crossline Solar Project from May of 2023. I just wanted to hand over the one for each of you and Mr. Leffert, and I'll give you one as well. The long story short, somebody had asked at a previous meeting about what is the benefit to the county. Again, I'm not putting my name behind this report because we didn't order this report, and I didn't have anything directly to do with it. It was something that was just provided to us several years ago when they were starting this project. But what they were, in summary, their executive summary, which I provided, it talks about jobs. They'll take their estimate. 215 people will help build this job, so that's temporary. Long-term, I think the jobs, if this project goes as they plan, one full-time person really. Somehow within the report, they said that it will take 1.8 persons. So I guess that, or 1.5 or something. So it's probably a full-time person, a part-time person for that. They also have some economic, according to their studies, it talks about how much in property taxes they would pay over the life of this. They say $12.8 million to the school district, $3.4 million to the county. Overall, if you count the townships and think it's $17.9 million of taxes they would pay. Again, I'm not saying that for any reason other than that's just information for the board and for the public of what they are suggesting. One of my concerns.
Can I ask you a question on that?
No, you may not.
Okay.
I'll let you talk again at the end, but I don't want this to be a debate.
No, that's fine.
The one thing I did ask the county assessor about was there's been changes with how personal property, real property are being assessed. And so my fear was that, in this company or any company comes in and they don't have to pay taxes, right? We assumed that they were going to pay taxes at some point, and now they're changing how the taxing is done. But long story short, I was thinking that there's a $2 million exemption that will eventually be put into place for business personal property. So that's an expense to the county. In other words, not an expense. It's a shifting of where the revenue would come from. So if any of these businesses here that used to pay business personal property, that is now exempted up to $80,000. It will eventually be up to $2 million. And I was thinking that if this project, with this solar project, came through, that the first $2 million is what they are raising that exemption to, that they would not have to pay taxes on that, but that isn't the case. She sent me the law, and regardless, that in this situation, they would pay taxes on their full assessment. So I don't know if any of that makes sense, but I was just worried that they, because of the changes in this, whatever benefit there would be from a tax revenue standpoint, I thought that we were going to take, that there would be a hit on that because of the change in the law. That doesn't appear to be the case. So if you're interested in saying that, we can look at that further. So it sounds like the main concern or question that was brought up has to do with a moratorium and the permit. So do either of you have any comments on it to start with?
Not this time.
I would state that I think the current permit, due to the fact that they haven't started building, it's past that date, so it should be resubmitted. And as far as a moratorium, I would support a moratorium, but I don't think we can do a moratorium and reject the current permit. So we would have to maybe do a moratorium with our current permits being reconsidered, but not taking on any new permits. So I think it would be best to go back to Crossvine and try to renegotiate some of the setbacks and whatnot, and hopefully get what you guys are wanting. But I don't think we can outright just say, no, you can't do it.
So what I've found with talking with council is that due to the, again, we brought this up before, due to the fact that we don't have zoning, most of the laws that allow you to make changes to what people can do with the land starts with you having a planning board, county-wide zoning in place. There have been cases that have gone through that have other counties historically that have tried to make changes, have said you may not do certain things to your property, and it's been overturned that they didn't have the right to do some of those changes. So what I'm saying is we are limited in what we can do. I too would be okay with whatever is within our power to consider a moratorium. I think we don't just say it and it's done. I think we need to have an ordinance.
If the direction of the board would be to, again, look at a moratorium and how that is impacted by the permits that have already been issued and whether or not a new one needs to be reissued or renegotiated, to incorporate that into either a resolution or an ordinance. I think that Commissioner Blessinger is correct that, again, as everyone knows, the county does not have planning and zoning. There are a few things that we do regulate. With regards to the solar ordinance, it was an adoption of the state regulations, more or less verbatim, and then we were the permitting authority on that. Dictating land use, typically, I believe under the law would require a plan commission, and we're in the process now of a comprehensive plan that's put some of those things into place. So again, we've restricted ourselves in our ability to do a lot of things, which then allows a lot of other people to do many things. So that is a concern that I know we've addressed before and we continue to address, especially up on the best. Like, we don't have an ordinance that regards that. We don't have a planning ordinance that would address that. The solar ordinance that we do have, it addresses setbacks and things of that nature. I think that if we were to explore a moratorium on that and address whether or not there's some different setbacks that would be more beneficial to the community and to the county and the taxpayers and everything else, but it can't be I'd be hesitant to say that it can't come at all. Moratoriums are put in place in order to kind of fine tune the rules and the regulations that are out there. I'm not going to speak for the city of Huntingburg, but they're exploring that as well, and other counties throughout the state are doing the exact same thing.
We want to proceed cautiously because we are risk averse. We don't want to set ourselves up for anything that would that we do anything that we shouldn't be doing. I mean, that's the short version of it. I think if it was up to the board, we would prefer that the land. I'll speak for myself. I've said it before. I prefer that the land was corn or soybeans, because I prefer that. But there are, especially with the county with no zoning, no planning board, we are limited on the actions we can take. So I would say, how about this? From a board standpoint, I say we ask Mr. Schneider to continue to look into that. We find what we can and cannot do. And Yeah, again, this isn't probably what the folks in the audience want to hear, but it would probably be, my assumption would be, the people that were already, working with these projects are probably, they're started, right? These things, it would stop potentially us from making new permitted,
There would be concerns if those need to be stopped, yes.
or we could potentially do that. So I think that's at least something we should look into. We should do what we can do, I guess is what I'm getting at. Do you agree?
I do agree.
So let's look at that. That's the best we can do at this point. We're trying to protect both the county and the people that live here, and so that's that. Regarding the permit for construction that we had with Crossline Solar One LLC, which was passed down to the existing people, Mr. Leffert is working with those people. And again, we're proceeding cautiously. We always want to make sure we're doing things the right way and that we're not putting the county or the county taxpayer at risk in any way. So I think the answer to your question is we haven't stopped doing anything with it. He's been in constant contact with them. I've been reading more than I ever thought I would on solar, on moratoria, on state law and community standards. One of the telling things was I read this one from Purdue Extension on solar ready communities. And again, they don't even include counties like ours because we don't have zoning. So we're not even part of the conversation because I think the assumption is we have limited land use restrictions that we can do. So any other comments about regarding the permit? We are working on it. Again, I don't have a final answer for you, but it is something we have reviewed it. I told you I would review it. I've got it here in front of me, and I've read it the same way you have. And we're gonna be working with them, and we're gonna be considering that moratorium. I think that's the best I can tell you today.
I don't think I have anything additional to add, just that we'll do everything we can.
Ms. Goble?
So from reading the federal tax exemptions, we are under the understanding that they will have federal tax exemptions for the solar panels that are placed. As far as the county, will this property be taxed as utility, agricultural, or industrial once this infrastructure is installed?
So this is under Indiana Code 6-1.1-3-7.2. So that talks about the different properties that would be exempted. And I don't have it in front of me, but the other letter that I got from the assessor, who would be the one that would do that, the assessment, whatever value it is at now, it is over double what that is. I don't remember the exact terms. I apologize. I could email those to you once I have the email in front of me. I don't want to speak out of place, but the assessment, it doesn't get exempted. It actually goes up more than double of what it currently is. So they will pay a lot more than the existing land use.
So, but under that, it still has different rates based on if it's utility, agricultural, or industrial, correct? If it's classified as that.
There are three different classifications, my understanding. The residential, there's a 1%, 2%, and 3%, and this one would be I believe on the highest one. And yes, they do get different assessments based.
She's wondering of those three, which type of land value are they putting on this?
It doesn't get a special utility rate, is my understanding of it.
Okay. So agricultural or industrial then, is that?
You
what
can
you're
talk to
telling
the
us?
assessor. I don't want to speak for
She's
her.
out today, everyone
Okay.
call her.
Okay.
But I did ask, and because I was thinking, are we going to get the short end of the stick here? Are they going to get some rule where they pay almost nothing?
And I think that as taxpayers, that's what we want to make sure
Right,
that
and
we
so I looked
understand.
into that and I said, is this going to be a deal where it's a utility so they pay nothing? Are we going to get that? And she said, no. The structures will be taxed just as any other structure would, like a barn or a industrial building. There's going to be, they're going to get assessed on their fences, on their concrete pads, on everything that's there on each of these panels. I was thinking, it's going to be a utility and they're going to stick us somehow, right? We're going to have all this land used up and we're not going to gain anything from it. But the number she told me was, I don't know, it went from whatever, $6,000 of value it's getting under the current assessment to 20,000, I think is what it was. So,
And I think, we just want to make sure all that's understood, including any federal tax exemptions they would get on this as well.
well, and recently too, as I went through these things, the current administration, the previous administrations have been giving big breaks for
Yeah.
people doing solar. That all got killed earlier this year, so they're not.
It's still in effect though until 2027, so this project will slide it under that.
That doesn't affect us, as a county unit. It affects us as a country,
Sure.
Sure.
I think that's just another reason though to fight as a county to make sure that the taxpayers' dollars are going the right places, right?
Sure.
Just another thing to note on this front, I appreciate you bringing up how many people that they will employ. That will be less than all of the farms that their current employees. So you're looking at folks gaining income from working on this land that will go down substantially for us as a county. And I think I appreciate you bringing up the economic impacts of this. I do feel that's really important, but safety for our emergency services, our neighbors, each other, and the folks flying planes over all of this is who we're more worried about than just the dollar. That's a big reason why we're here. So I understand that you guys have some more fact finding to do for all of this. I would urge all of you with this project is under 40% of this project is under a moratorium right now. So keep that in mind as you're looking ahead. That being said,
how is that?
because the Huntingburg portion of the project is under moratorium right now.
And that's 40% of the total
Approximately.
acreage?
Correct.
Didn't look that one on the map, but I didn't do the math. So I'll take the word for it.
Yeah. Plus or minus, I didn't, I can calculate the decimals if you want. With that, again, we've heard of other projects being developed, being proposed for other parts of the county. So that's on the Du Bois County, but on the southern county line. We've heard of one in Hayesville. We've seen engineer websites with it in Ireland. This is a county-wide issue. We urge you guys to make a moratorium, if not on this project, for future projects in the county. If you want to go back, we're here for safety. I think that's number one, and number two is the economic impact. But we are an agricultural county, right? We've got some of the most farming supply dealerships probably in the state. You're putting all of those companies at risk by setting up this legacy for these projects. We don't want to be. I don't know. There's a mural out here with things growing on it, pictures of farmers in the fields. I don't want to have to add solar panels to that. So again, just think of all that as you guys are making this decision. In addition to a new moratorium, I would like to ask you guys to get us an answer back by the next meeting. This is a priority for us. We're obviously here every week or every other week, but this project is something that we want an answer on so we can sleep at night. So thank you.
I would push back and say that we're not putting people in this position. It's not our land. I mean, these farmers could choose to do whatever they wanted with their land. They could put a factory on it.
Can they?
They could put, yes.
Okay.
Well, they could develop it with homes. They could allow trees to grow. So it's a freedom of the people to. Again, I'm not an expert, but I think the 14th Amendment is something that we've looked at. And I won't even get into it. Long story short, people have the right to full use and enjoyment of their property, right? Without undue government burden. So we're trying to balance the safety and health of the community with the individual rights of these people. So that is something we're looking at.
Yeah, one last thing. I mean, we do appreciate you guys looking into the moratorium. I think, ideally we'd like it to benefit us as well as the other areas, but I wish it didn't get this far down the road to begin with. And then the other thing on their permit, with the Huntingburg stuff, whatever they're submitting has got to be substantially different than what was originally talked about. Just taking that consideration and taking into consideration all the people that's homes are nearby and that are going to have to live with this. So, thanks.
We sure are. I appreciate that. Mr. Levitt, did you have any other final comments on, how about to the point of substantially on the same footprint and
So I did overlay the site plan that was submitted with the 2024-02 permit that was approved. I overlaid that original site plan with their current design. There are some differences, however, from what I could tell, there's no additional areas that are impacted outside of what was originally approved in the permit. So their footprint appears to be less. So yes, it is changes, but again, I'm not seeing any additional areas outside of what was additionally approved. Now, keep in mind, their design is preliminary yet, but they haven't formally submitted anything to the county to review on that. So I will be reaching out to them to request those changes, just because I don't know how far along their design is, but I don't want to make any assumptions since I haven't formally received anything from them. So, but we are looking into that, overlaying those just to see what's changed from the original permit.
And the Huntingburg ETJ area that did not show solar panels, I guess maybe it's a good point now, but that to me was a significant issue. I know it's still, I don't even know, I think it still showed the properties in there, but it didn't show the plan, so, or the offsets from anything.
I know we're looking into that as well.
And honestly, folks, just so you know, especially Ms. Goble, I appreciate the time you spent into it. We're not trying to blow you guys off in any way. We're trying to do this in a way that protects you all to the extent possible and protects the county as a whole as much as possible. This is important to us, just like the Mid-States Corridor is a big, impactful project. I'm taking it seriously. We're looking into it, and I guess I just wanted to make that point that we are taking this very seriously, and all of your comments and the people showing up, that's meaningful, because a lot of times we have these meetings and the room has Mark here and us. And so it's good to have community support and for people to tell us their thoughts, because if we don't hear it, we do the best we can with what we have. And that's one of the reasons we got to where we are today, because they come to us, they say, we've got a solar project. The county council person and myself, we meet with them. We try to figure it out the best we can, because every time one of these things happens, it's the first time we've done it, and we do the best we can. And we're going to continue to do that. I guess that's all I have. I have a tendency to talk more than I need to. So I just wanted to make that point. Why are you laughing?
I have nothing to share.
Okay. Anybody else up here?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the next item on here. I don't have any updates on the comprehensive plan other than we have ongoing meetings that are continuing with, I think at the end of, later this week, the, anyway, some of our team members, they're having, I guess they're called stakeholder meetings, so we're gonna have a group of people for environmental, a group of people for law enforcement, economic development, government. So I don't even know if those are the exact categories, but there are different categories that people that are leaders in those areas are meeting with our consultant, again, to get more feedback, to find out where the needs are, so that we can make the best decisions for that in the future. So that comprehensive planning is ongoing. We already talked about the animal control issues. Did either of you meet with the RDA or anybody on that?
We did last week, Nick and I.
You both met with them? Okay, so I did too. I guess that's something we're gonna have to maybe talk with the county council, or just as a county make a decision on, do either of you have any feedback you want to share this week?
I don't,
No, not really.
not really, not at this time.
I mean, at some point, we're gonna have to take action on it, I would think, or give an opinion if we
Right.
want it to continue, if there's benefit in it continuing, or if if we don't want that to continue. So that is something, yeah, it's another one of those things that we need to be prepared to take action on, probably sooner than later. Any older, you have any other items?
No.
Mr. Schneider? No. Connecting highway? Nothing, okay. Commissioner, nothing else?
No, sir.
No, sir?
Nothing additional.
Okay, so we'll open this up for public comments. If anybody wants to make a comment, you have a 3-minute window, and you feel free to say what you need to say for that amount of time.
I have a couple things. One of them is your animal control thing you're talking about. Are you
Can we say who
considering
you are, please? I'm just.
Melanie Berry,
Thank you.
Town Council President Hall?
Yes.
That is a big issue for the rest of the towns. If the animal control goes away from the county, it's another expense for a town to do their animal control. I'd like to help look for funding if that's a problem. I'm pretty good at that. So if you want to reach out, I'm more than willing to help with looking for funding and some help with that.
No, I
Because it
appreciate
does, it does affect all the small towns around. Because like Holland, I opened a kennel in 2010 to return lost dogs, stray dogs, whatever. And we had like 400 registered dogs, and we did that for until 2024. And it was an expense personally to us. So we had to quit it, but we still have our kennels. Then we built a kennel funding. So I'd like to help there if I can.
So can you tell me with the way it is currently, what would that experience look like in your community if there's a dog that's loose? We'll just say that, not even an aggressive dog or a dog that's been abandoned. What do you do?
A lot of times what we did is we ran meetings where people could sign their dogs up, and we take a picture of them so we know what they look like. So if it's a stray dog, and we had 415 of them listed in our book, and we have a very small town, and they would call us, and we would look and see if we had a picture of it. If we did, we'd get it back to the owner. We would take it back to the owner or contact them. As far as stray dogs, we would contact the sheriff's office with Dogwood, and we would keep them on. We have an inside outside. It's got 3 kennels with runs for them, and we can use that in town, and I make sure they get fed and watered, I mean, at my expense, but that's fine. I don't care. I love dogs. So if they don't somebody doesn't pick them up, then we would have Dogwood come down and pick them up, and we put them on the internet, and that's how it works.
Got it.
Facebook and everything. We get a lot of them returned. I mean,
So in your opinion too, if dogwood goes away,
that's
and
an
they
issue.
don't want to do it, then we're gonna have a big issue.
Yes, it's a
Got
big issue. It's a big issue for all the towns, because the small towns call Dogwood to come and have the sheriffs pick them up and take them there. So it's a huge issue for all the towns. I have one other thing, and then I'll leave it alone. The town dumpster, we got an extension, they tell us, from DuBois County Highway. We have offered them the Holland Lagoons out there, and I know he has some issues with that. It's fenced in and the town owns it. You know, they could reside there for the town dumpsters. It's very important for us to keep that. I know he's looking to purchasing other areas, because the leased area that he had was bought out from under him. That's something that's really important to us. I don't want to let the issue drop, because if all else fails, we have offered the town lagoons. We will cooperate with that. So, I mean, that's an option. It may not be the best option, but for us, it's right outside of town. We don't have transit. We don't have, everybody has to do a personal pickup. So that's an issue for the town. There's a lot of people that don't have access to a dumpster if that leaves. So I would like you to really consider that when you're considering getting rid of our dumpster area and moving it somewhere else. Keep it as close to Holland as possible, but we have offered that, and he knows that. We've been in contact. So
I don't think there's been any discussions of not having it in Holland anymore. Not that I've been involved in. So
Well,
the
when
plan is
first-
to keep it there.
Yeah, when he first talked to me, he said, it may have to go away if we don't have someplace. So that's why the town would be more than happy, lagoons, and I have looked and scrounged for other areas. Don't want it in a residential area. There's a couple places that could be, but I don't want it in residential if at all possible. If it has to, it has to, but the lagoons is available. So that's it. But yeah, I'll help you with the dogwood issue if you want.
Good, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
You had said last time I'd have a few more minutes, I think.
I said if you get on the agenda, we'll give you 15 minutes.
I did not hear that part, I'm sorry, but I will be back when I can, if I can say a few words.
Please.
Can you set it up, Michael, please? First of all, what I'm speaking for is more of a health standpoint. I support everything that they're saying on the zoning. But at some point, I would beg you to actually ask more questions than what I can give in 3 minutes on my concerns about this. Beg. I haven't practiced 35 years looking at what goes around here for my own health. So I would beg you to ask more information about the health consequences of pollution in this area and Indiana, because it has a direct effect on overall health, infant mortality, and healthcare costs, which we are all looking at. My eyes were open to this about 15 years ago, as I said the last time, during biomass. And I watched Jasper City officials totally unconcerned, in fact, lying about and manipulating math to the benefit of the company that came in here. And that's why I personally have concerns about AES. There isn't hardly a crooketer company than AES. They've been fined $40 million on pollution violations as recently as August, where they were forced to install pollution controls in a plant in Puerto Rico. My personal
Are
experience.
those coal plants or are they?
I don't know.
Okay.
My printer did not work. I was going to print some of this off for you this morning. In fact, my computer wouldn't even open. My personal experience with AES started when I moved to Washington. Because after fighting biomass and seeing all the just flat out lies that Jasper was doing and withholding information and obstructing the process, the infant mortality, those are dead babies and stillbirths, okay, in Washington were the highest in the state. And it was clear to me after looking at the mathematical manipulations I was seeing in Jasper that this was a bigger issue with the state. Indiana has the highest per capita pollution in the country and ranks in the bottom 10 on infant mortality. And if to some extent we didn't have all the industrial money and the resources on medicine, we'd probably be the highest. The EPA subsequently sanctioned AES in 2020 and forced them to put pollution controls on that plant, which is one of the dirtiest in the country. This is who you're dealing with, okay? Forced them by court, and they have accumulated $40 million in pollution fines. The way I see this on solar, it's not that solar is bad, but they want to put a battery plant here, and more risk analysis is indicated here, okay? And what you have to look at is not just the math of the slow accumulation of pollution, okay? That's part of what Du Bois County's had. But what happens if you have a large fire or a spike? But the slow accumulation is something that people here need to wake up on, the cardiovascular disease, the prematurity, and the cancer. That's where it comes from, okay? It is a mathematical certainty that the buildup of pollution is it's harmful to people, especially children, if their brain does not develop correctly. And sometimes I think but it should be everybody needs to monitor that, because that is the slow burn that causes a lot of the neurodevelopmental stuff we're dealing with. And that's obstructed because of companies like AES.
You're over 4 minutes, but I'll give you another minute if you want to finish.
Okay. I will try to put it on the agenda. But I would beg you to start asking questions, because I've published on this. I spoke an hour at the Illinois chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics in October. The slides are online. I wasn't thrown out of the room. And I think the tunnel vision here is something that people need to wake up on if we're wondering about healthcare costs. Because, yeah, I could drop a line in a preemie, spend, probably $100,000 just transferring them. But what bothers me is the recklessness of companies like AES when they put forth stuff like this, and you have this voluminous, like, what the hell is going on here? And I know when, after all I know, when I look at a permit and I go, I don't, the bottom line is, do I trust AES? And I haven't seen that brought up enough, but I think it should. And I would ask you to please, Howard Dunn 50 years ago tried to do this, and I'm here now. I know how these companies work, and I know how they violate the rules and how Indiana works. And if you're going to represent and protect your constituents and really look at risk, please just ask me. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
John Kaltbacher, Town of Holland Council member. I remember this time. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. We certainly did. You guys are in the same position that the Town of Holland is when it comes to zoning. We're way behind. And so I've been going outside I call the realm of common sense and just emailing a bunch of people, state representatives, national representatives. Hell, I even sent some to Trump. And I just think that we're going to have to get this utility commission, this board, on notice that we're upset about this. And we can look them dead in the eye and go, you're the problem. You're not looking at things, because I've talked to DNR, I've talked to NDOT, I've talked to just farmers out on the street, and they just they keep telling me that the utility board is who we need to talk to. So I've drafted a
utility board.
Utility board is the ones that are going to have to. They're the ones that are going to have to sit there and swallow the Kool-Aid and go, no, we can't let this happen. They put that solar panels and then the batteries 2 miles from two schools, Holland and Huntingburg. I mean, 2 miles. Who does the math there? The engineer, what do you do? Just throw a dart on the map and go, that's a good spot. It just doesn't pass the common sense override for me. But I have a draft to these commissioners that I've been working on for over Thanksgiving. Matter of fact, I've kind of finished it out. I've been sending it back and forth to Holly and talked to a few other people, and, just trying to wordsmith it to make it say, hey guys, you need to pull your heads out and look at this a little bit more, because there's a lot of permitting that's not, that is old, 2022. NDOT, I've got a report back from DNR about the barn owls that I think was dated, what was that date on it? It was in 22, I think, is when they have a concern about a barn owl in DuBois County that's within this area, just one barn owl. But and that's an endangered species, but there's been nothing addressed again. But I have a copy of the email if you guys want to look at it. And I also, this afternoon after lunch, I'm going to go to Spencer County and talk to their planning commission, Commissioner Kay, and talk to her about their zoning. And I've got a copy of the zoning ordinance here that they adopted, if you guys would like to have a copy of that. I mean, this will get us started. And I say us as a county to hopefully stop this type, because if we don't, Ireland, Hayesville, Jasper's going to be surrounded by these solar panels and battery storage units. And that's just, I think it's just a recipe for disaster, because one, I told you before, I believe in the what if monster. And it's just a lot of this doesn't pass the common sense override for me. So I'll leave both of these for you guys. I am going to, like I say, talk to Kay this afternoon. I'll come back and talk to you guys about what I found out, and help in any part that I can for, with you guys with zoning. I won't.
Similar to Dr. Fryline, if you think it's going to take you more than just a few minutes at the end of the meeting, you might be better off getting on the agenda just so you can call the auditor, just so we have time set specifically for you.
But
and if you want to hand those items to Mr. Schneider, he can look at them and hand them over to us.
There you go. You have copies for them already. You don't need any. Those are your copies, yeah. And then I'll also leave this with you too. I've got plenty of copies of that. So I appreciate your time. And again, once I talk to Kay this afternoon, I'll try to get on the agenda so I can tell you guys what I found out for her. And again, I've reached out to you guys and said, I'll help, whatever. I won't share something, but because I just retired and I want to enjoy a little bit of retirement before I get, well, I won't say. But anyway, thank you for your time.
Next.
Can I ask a quick question? My name's Sheila Winhope. I think the last meeting I was at, you said that we're one of 12 counties that don't have zoning. And you said 30 years ago we voted, or I don't know, was it a referendum or how did we get to that point where we don't have zoning?
The commissioners at that time, they had gone down the path. They had, that's my understanding, they had a consultant that drawn up maps preliminarily, and then I think there was a room full of people like this that said, we don't want it, and it died. Is that accurate?
Pretty accurate, from what I remember.
Can we
So she
bring
was
it,
here.
because 30 years ago, there weren't solar panels and there weren't all the batteries and all these nuclear power plants and so is this something we can revisit? Since, 30 years ago is a long time ago and things changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you bring it back up again?
No, so what Mr. Schneider referenced earlier, there's a process and it's multiple steps. It's not a days or weeks thing, it's a months or year thing. You have to start by having a comprehensive plan to find a need and to get justification for it, then there's just a process. So yes, it is part of the discussion we're doing as our comprehensive plan. And I think that again, things like this show that there may be a different taste from the community.
I think it needs to be revisited, because I heard rumor that in Pike County alone, they're looking at 17,000 acres for solar panels. Is that what we want for our county? We don't get any control of it? Just something to think about.
So again, with that, I just think that with most actions, when the government gets involved, there's a positive and a negative. So I looked at it like this, somebody may be okay with having solar panels next to their house, but they wouldn't be okay with a certain agricultural product, or maybe they don't want. People are it's subjective. People are gonna have different ideas of what is acceptable and what isn't. And if we set rules on people, that may say, you don't get to put that, the 3-car, 18-foot door garage on your property anymore. That we got, I'm in banking. There's people every week coming and putting these huge monsters of buildings in their backyard around the county. And me, I wouldn't want that next to me. Right? But now they're allowed to. So we could zone, and people are gonna lose some ability to fully enjoy their property. There is some benefit to
There's
it.
not risk to life for that. There could be risk to life for this.
And I think with the zoning thing, you said we didn't have the same problems then that we do now. I would say that's true in one sense, but in the other sense, there was coal power plants back then that people didn't like, or, there's always something that people don't like.
See, that's exactly true. The coal power plants have exploited this area for years to power Indianapolis and Fort Wayne and overpollute here. And this is an extremely similar project where they are exploiting this area with the risk of that battery to power Indianapolis. Put the battery up there, okay? It's not that solar is bad, and they've screwed on rooftop solar also.
Dr.
It's the
Carlin,
fact that
you've had
Indiana
your time.
doesn't do it right.
You've had your time. Thank you.
Hi,
Good morning.
I'm Corinne Whitehead, just a resident of Hummingbird. I don't have anything prepped for, any papers to give you. But anyway, by trade, I'm a biology teacher and taught 7th grade science, really. But solar is great if you're talking about an individual company or an individual house. But solar in terms of thousands of acres of fields is detrimental. It's detrimental to the land, it's detrimental to the community, because of all of the risks that go into these battery-powered areas.
And it's just it's not positive. It's not a good thing. My uncle was in Texas. He's a civil engineer and lived in Texas. And they started putting up solar panels there. And he said there's like hundreds of thousands of acres of solar panels there. And finally, the state of Texas said, that's enough, get out. And so now AES has come to the Midwest. And now they're trying to get into certain counties that don't have zoning and don't have ordinances, and trying to put their panels in here. And I actually have a friend, this is not going to name names, but she actually works for AES as a environmental person. And her quote to me was, I would sign your petition, but they pay my paycheck. And I will tell you, they're very dirty. They're a very dirty company. And so, just speaking to her and hearing that out of her mouth, and she works for them, is concerning, not knowing the ins and outs of all of that. So that's just kind of my standpoint, and that's kind of where I am with it. But it's just, it doesn't seem like a route that DuBois County would want to go. We're proud of our county. We love our county, and we want to keep it, the way it is. My son has a soon-to-be fiance, I'm sure, coming up, and she lives in Duff. And she expresses all the time, she said, it's so sad to go home. She said, I wish I could drive with my eyes closed, because it just, it's so bad. And she said, and then the battery thing, it's awful. But anyway, like I said, I don't have a lot of, hard evidence. I'm just speaking from my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, can't go out that way, Mr. Mark.
Somebody's office.
You want to come make a comment though while you're up?
No. Well, I got a lot of comments.
All right, maybe I should have asked. Anybody over here?
Yeah. I've got a question.
Can you please come up?
My name is Wayne Keck, and I keep bringing up the same situation. I want to know what the guidelines are on how far they can put the solar panels from someone's property. I keep hearing 250 feet from my house, 300 feet, 50 feet from my property line, 100 feet. What is it? What's the county's guideline?
Mr. Leffert, would you mind looking at that and calling Mr. Keck later today?
Yeah, the site plan that was approved shows non-participating residents, 250-foot setback. And then non-participating parcel, 50-foot setback.
So would you feel comfortable having them that close to your house, 50 feet from your property line?
So it's 250 feet.
250 feet
Yeah,
from a
250
residence,
feet.
50 feet from a parcel.
Would you feel comfortable living in a home with 37 plus acres with solar panels facing your house? That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Yep. Last chance. Yes, ma'am.
I know you talked about the zoning. Will it end up being a referendum or no? You guys decide.
The state of Indiana has almost there's almost no things that can go on a referendum unless it's like a school spending deal. I mean, because we talked about this before, I don't even remember if it was a mid-states border issue or some other issue. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, let's look into it. And I did my junior attorney work, and then Mr. Schneider looked at it, and it's almost no thing. So no, it's not a direct.
So You guys
Yeah,
will
this board,
make the decision.
I believe they have to hold public hearings.
yeah, there'll be public hearings, yeah.
Correct. There's a process involved, public hearings, again, the comprehensive plan. Then there'd be the development of a plan commission and many new boards and regulators out there, which again are similar in other counties and again locally. And the city of Jasper has those, city of Pine Bluff has those as well, that oversee their uniform development ordinance, UDOs.
And is it true a lot of folks are putting moratoriums in to then do things like that?
Most of the moratoriums that I have seen were to basically revisit their,
Existing
if they had it already, whether or not it was okay. And if they didn't have it already, to put one into place. And again, most of those moratoriums though are existing in counties that have planning and zoning. We are by far a minority when it comes to the planning and zoning, and the fact that we do not have it. But yes, most of what I had seen were those counties. One, Jefferson County, they have one, and it expired in September. That they enacted a new solar ordinance, or whether it was an amended one or not, I didn't do that much research, but in September of 2025, their moratorium concluded and their new ordinance came into effect, as an example.
Thank you.
And in another county, I don't recall the county, but they didn't want solar in their area, so they made their guidelines so restrictive as to basically ban it, and they get sued and lose because it's you have to be you just have to be careful of depriving people again of their rights to use it fully. Because I asked, can we completely ban it if we want it? I'm not saying we want it, but if we wanted to, can you do that? And it's and right,
And I don't think that, we're not asking you guys to go against the law or getting yourselves into a lawsuit, but I think it's, looking into what's right for the county, which is what you're doing.
yeah, that's
right?
what we're
So-
doing. So
And we're just asking you to prioritize it, so, yeah.
did you have one more comment?
Yeah, one comment, talking about permitting and things like that there. I went down and looked at their public information board and was just dumbfounded that the description on the front talked about I don't even remember, it's been so long since I've read this, but basically the location was 57 Ford Highway 41, not even in our county. But they posted it on their public information. So I called INDOT and I asked them, I said, what permit are they talking about here? Well, that permit there was for another project in Vanderburgh County, another solar project. And I asked them, I said, do you have anything for Crossvine right now? And they said, well, the only thing that we have permitted right now is the substation that CenterPoint's putting in. That AES has not, we don't have any permits for the solar panel or battery. So I don't know if that's something that the county, since that's been a couple of weeks ago, I think, because of the holidays. That might be a way for you guys to look at that and go, hey, if you don't have a, permitting there, maybe you guys can do something else with that as far as maybe moratorium, moratorium or look into the planning or something. I don't know. I'm just going, here we go, cutting that angle. I'm trying to cut another angle here to see. But as of a couple of weeks ago, INDOT did not have any permits for that project as far as the solar panels and the battery storage. So,
Mr. Leopard, you put that on your list of questions to ask? Thank you. All right. We have two more comments here.
Yeah, you mentioned a while ago that you're going to double your money intake from taxes off of that. So, what's more important, that money or our lives?
And sir, I'll say I didn't look at the money until it was brought to us. Because again, I don't go looking for companies to bring into town to make more money for the government. That's just not what I do. But somebody had asked if there's any benefit tax-wise to the company or to the county or to the taxpayer, and that's why I brought that up. In other words, how this works, I'll give you a quick version of how I think this would work. If that piece of land gets assessed at double what it is now, That doesn't mean that the taxes necessarily on that piece of property are going to be double, but it goes into the overall assessment for the county, gets multiplied by a certain rate, so mathematically, it'll probably be a tiny amount, but
If the AV goes up, the tax rate comes
Right.
down, so you basically got the same.
right, there's an X amount of money that we're gonna bring in. If they're assessed higher, that means everybody else's rate should go down, right?
We still
It's
can-
not that if we brought in $10 million worth of new investment in the county, $10 million of new buildings, we don't get 10 million times 1% or some number, and that's additional money for the county. The amount of money we're gonna get is going to be pretty flat, but whenever people do make improvements, that should keep the rate down a tiny amount for everybody else. That's kind of how that works.
You can only collect so much money and that's it.
And then you'll be the final comment here.
Okay, my name is Lisa Matthews. I'm a property owner near this battery storage facility, along with all our neighbors here. So I keep hearing all this talk, and I keep thinking, who in our county, we are becoming a dumping ground for all these companies that know they can come in and get away with building this stuff. Who in our county is looking out for the safety concerns of all of these people? Right now, Holland, the little community of Holland, has probably over 600 some signatures now against this project. That to me seems like it's a significant amount. You start throwing in solar panels at Arland, how many more are you gonna have to deal with? You start throwing them in at Hayesville, how many more? You're gonna need a bigger room for all those people to be protesting these same kind of projects. But who in this county, if the utility board is signing off on all these companies to come in and don't know maybe exactly what they're building, there's a difference. I hear people saying some solar panels are okay, but we don't want these battery storage facility, which is going to be a danger, a safety issue to the schools, to the communities. Who is looking out for the safety of the people in the county? If there's anything that we can do to prevent these companies from coming in and building this battery storage facility. And, you know, with that being said, I'm a member of the Cass Township Advisory Board, along with Jim Marr, who was here a minute ago. You know, we, along with the town of Holland, are in charge of our firefighters. You know, we have the Cass Township fire trucks that we provide. You know, and there again, that's a safety concern to our firefighters having to come in there, having to fight this. If this thing catches on fire, you know, the safety issues. And I just want to know who in the county is looking out for the people, for the public? What laws can we put into place to stop these companies from coming in and putting these types of things here? If they want it, if they're using it in Indianapolis and Fort Wayne, take it to Indianapolis and Fort Wayne. But it looks to me like they're finding loopholes in all of these counties to come in and be a dumping ground for us. And people are against it. So whatever you can do to stop it, the people appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, Jennifer, what do you do?
All right, we'll close the meeting. Thank you. Where the health department or?
It used to be here.
Not this number.
45 years late.
Yeah.